Hey guys, we are live. Welcome to the TED Show with me, of course, Ted Bogert. Trying to figure out even where to look on the camera for this new StreamYard, which has thankfully been a saving grace today because the other platform is down. I am excited to have Justin Lang, Justincredible, on the show today. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good. I'm going to look down here and make sure I can see us live. That's always my thing. But while I'm doing that, tell us a little bit about you. I think I don't remember exactly how we connected, but I looked at your page and thought that's a great story, even though you might not have wanted to tell me the story. So tell them a little bit about you, and then we can dive right into Justincredible.
Awesome. Thanks, Ted. Thanks for connecting with me. I know I think I posted a video online, and you were like, "Oh, this looks pretty interesting." So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I'm a Florida boy to my core. I'm born and raised, best state, craziest state at the same time, as you know.
1000%. I know.
Yeah. Born and raised in South Florida primarily, so Dade and Broward County. Just grew up around a big melting pot, and I just was always exposed to different types of cultures, different people. And I think around high school, mid high school, sophomore year of high school, I started to try to get a voice. So writing and poetry, writing music, found a way, because I tried to hang around the basketball players, but I wasn't that good. I tried to hang around the bad boys, but I wasn't that bad. Tried to hang around the nerds. I wasn't that. So I always kind of found myself in the middle, and not really finding my place or comfort in who I was. That poetry was a way to kind of express myself, get a voice, gain some respect, from self-respect. And when you see people, cling to it, gravitate towards it, and they appreciate it and they can connect, then that's like, okay.
Why poetry though? Like, where did that come from? Did you just decide you liked poetry one day and then decided, you know what, I've got stuff to say? I mean, how did you figure out that was a way for you to have your voice?
I kind of almost stumbled upon it. It's just kind of journalizing just frustrations, as a teenager, I hate my parents. I like this girl. Oh, we broke up. Oh, I'm mad. Oh, this kid's bullying me. You just journal, note down things, and I just happened to put rhymes to it, and started to get more imagery. And I had a couple of people. I had one of my English teachers take a look at it. One of my history teachers took a look at it, and it was like, oh, some pretty nice stuff. Keep writing. And then those little encouragements at the infancy stage just kind of motivated me to keep going. And the more I listened to different greats, Pac and Alanis, all the greats, the more I got more expressive and honed in with my imagery.
Love it. So tell me, how would you describe, because you don't hear poetry's kind of making a comeback. I'm hearing poetry readings and events around poetry, but that wasn't always the case. How would you describe your form or your poetry? What would you describe it as?
I describe myself as a poet disguised as a rapper, or vice versa. And that's another way where I feel myself. I feel like I'm a little poetic, but not as, talented or established as some of these renowned poets that I know. But and I see myself as a rapper, but not as some of the greats. I just kind of find myself, I find a nice fit in between hip hop, a little bit of rock, and poetry. I just find myself in the middle. But poetry is definitely, I think, now in these times when entertainment has been shut down, you're talking sports shut down, all brand new movies, the movie theaters, live concerts are taken. I think people are going to appreciate it. I think they're searching for it. But when we get out of this quarantine, I think there's going to be a higher demand for it. Our stock is going to go up for the creative arts. People want to feel, connected to something.
Well, yeah, I feel like people right now are they don't feel connected. They feel isolated, and they're looking for a way to connect. And not everybody connects the same way. One of the great things about poetry is you create it, and then it speaks to people in a different. Each person it speaks to differently.
That's it.
But you get the vibe back. I have an English degree. So I'm just throwing it out there. That's why I'm familiar with enough with poetry. I'm not really good at it, but I'm familiar with it. But I feel like people they're looking for something to connect with, like you said, and just because they might not appreciate one genre or the other, it doesn't matter, because poetry is universal, and I think that people will connect with it. When you go out, and I want to get into Justincredible and the thought process behind that, and then art imitating life, which I love that topic. When you go out, do you find that people come up to you afterward? Like, what's it like on stage for you when you're basically bearing your whole soul?
Short answer to that, I just black out. I just focus on just doing the job, getting the point across, and as if I kind of blank out with the intent of, I know for a fact that there's at least one person that relates to at least one part of this thing, and if I say it with the most conviction, if I say it with the most vulnerability, the most I think that it would connect with someone, it could comfort someone, it could actually help change someone's life.
I agree. So tell me where Justincredible came in. For a while there, I really thought he's never going to tell me what his name is, which is fine. I mean, I deal with that all the time. When you're an artist, when you're creative, I have a great respect for however it is your persona is. I want to respect that. But tell us how that came into play, and then let's start talking about art imitating life.
Cool. Justincredible the name was given to me. A friend of mine, Sean Staten, he from South Florida, he actually drove me one summer. I was trying to play basketball, again, trying to be a hooper. Wasn't too good at it. And he drove us one summer in Miramar, Florida, to a garage where a bunch of local kids were rapping in a garage. Just formed a whole alliance group. Some of them have gone on to do some amazing things. One of them is on Wild 'N Out. His name is Conceited. Conceited NYC, but he was in the same group. But I went there and I just rhymed for the first time. It was kind of blah, and they're like, "You need a name." And my friend Drew Cottrell, he said, "Why don't you go with Justincredible?" And I was like, "Sounds good."
Perfect.
That's it.
So what goes on from there? You obviously, because people, people have their arts, they have their creativity, but you've made this, I'm assuming you've made this is really part of who you are all the time. This is what you do. This is part of who you are. How is it now during COVID-19 when you can't get out there? Are you doing poetry readings and artistic kinds of things via platforms like this? Or are you just working on your craft right now?
Both. Actually, yesterday I got an invite to do some poetry for kids, to stir up some creativity, because school's out. They're getting a little anxious. They're getting into mischief. They're whatever. So that's with Young Voices with the Right 3000. Shout out to Blue Bailey. But so Saturday night I'll be in a live form just like this, giving poetry and just being a panelist and just encouraging young writers, young voices, and older voices that still want to stay creative, get their creative juices flowing. Right before COVID-19 started to pop off really crazy, I signed a contract with the state of, not the state, with the city. It's with Atlantic Center of the Arts, and it's going to be in Volusia County with New Smyrna Beach. And it was supposed to be like a whole session, I think 13 sessions with creative writing with middle schoolers. And so we had to put that on pause, but now I just went back to the originator of this whole program, the coordinator, and said, hey, why don't we just do it in Zoom? I mean, school's out, kids have their laptops, they're already bored. Why don't we just do the entire sessions, the whole program? Let's just do it online. So that, and then
That's so cool.
also writing some other, just loading up some ammo for some more projects.
So when you're doing, is this your, and I think people will ask, is this what you do full time?
No, not yet. Not yet. That's the dream.
That's the dream, right? But you, it sounds like you're building that up. So this is what you're doing to try to build up. It's like your side hustle, side game for now, but it's your passion.
Absolutely. Ultimate dream. Yeah. Ultimate dream is to, because I've worked in the school system. I know I work a lot with kids, middle school, high schoolers, because it's those awkward times, man. It's really defining times. And I've been a drug abuse counselor, anger management counselor, self-esteem counselor, GED tutor, in-house mentor. I mean, for about 8 or 10 years in the school system, I've just done that between motivational speaking and just working with kids. And so the ultimate dream is to speak during the day and do shows at night. That's the ultimate dream.
So let's talk about the kids a lot, because I've done a couple of shows on that. What do you see? Obviously, you're going to be working with kids on the poetry side too. What are you seeing with the kids pre-COVID, of course, as far as what their needs are? Is the bullying as bad as it seems? Because you mentioned counselor and mentor in there. Is the pressure as bad as it's painted? Is it really, really tougher than, I mean, you're much younger than me, so we'll say when you were a kid, is it much tougher out there?
Hey, I'm 34. I'm not too
Oh, you're a baby. That's a good thing, a compliment.
I'm pre-internet. Don't let the baby face fool you. I say it's a trade-off. You have bullying. I mean, bullying's been around since the beginning of time, but now it's a little different. So you have a kid, for example, who gets bullied. They can be bullied on tape, live, every single day on the internet, and they can relive this over and over and over again. But yet at the same time, on that same phone, they can reach out to support groups. All they have to do is hashtag anti-bullying. There's a community of people that can reach out. Back then, if you got beat up and you got bullied, if you didn't have anyone in the neighborhood to take care of it, or if it didn't get to a level where the police were involved or the parents got involved, you just have to deal with it. Maybe if you had a couple friends that would help you out or support you during that time, you'd have some luck there. But I think it's an interesting time. I'm still learning because life is still going on. But I think the overall, human experience kind of pretty much stays the same. Everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants a community. Everyone wants to be motivated. Everyone wants to be accepted. Everyone wants to find their voice, feel proud of what they do, whatever it is. And everyone just, I believe for the most part, wants to be great. I want to believe that,
Where does that spirit come from? Did you grow up in a household where this was encouraged? Did you learn it along the way? Where does that, you've got this compassionate approach to things. I feel like you're a very compassionate human being and empathetic. So where did that come from? Because a lot of times people who are like that came from, had to learn it along the way. But then there are people who just grew up around that sort of support.
I'd say both. First, my mom has a heart of gold. She will, my mom, and that stems from my grandmother. They'll give you, the last dollar that they have, the shirt off their back type of situation, grandfather, granddaddy. And I think, growing up in a household with both parents that loved me, showed respect. My parents were pillars in the community, police officers in Miami. They're crime fighters. You know, my dad was a teacher. He was a dare teacher. He taught kids they should stay off drugs. My mom was wrestling crackheads in the projects. I mean, just serving the community in any way possible. My dad, you know, a preacher pretty much my whole life. So just really grounding me in just good morals, good principles, just to have compassion. I was taught that as a kid in my household, that doesn't matter what the color or what country someone's from, you respect people, you honor people, you just do good for the sake of doing good. So that's always been rooted in me. And then just like you said, throughout time, I've learned stories. I've had interactions with people. I've lived life.
I love it. Yeah, because you just never know when somebody comes across what you can't. That's why I love these kinds of shows, because you can't fake that. I can smell fake a mile away, and so can the audience. So I wanted to point out that you come across that way, and I believe that is very sincere. Tell us about the process of creating an actual poem. We call them poems still, right? Poetry, poems. I don't know.
Yeah.
So tell them what the process is. Do you get ticked off about something? Do you get moved by something? Angry? Just what is the process when you're creating? Because I think a lot of people feel things, but they don't know how to put them into words.
All of the above. And I think that when it comes to music, when I write my raps and hip hop music, my verses, my bars, a friend of mine, Terrence Jones, he was just telling me that that rap is poetry. It's just sped up and it's contained by measures and beats. So it's like it's rhythm and poetry. That's what rap is, simply. But to answer the question in long form is I do all of that. You get angry, right? Whatever makes you feel uncomfortable, you're right. Whatever you're afraid of, right. Whatever makes you happy, joyful, right. Whatever you fear, write about it. Whatever you're hopeful about in life, whatever you want to see in the future, write about it. Write about it all, write about now. If you're uninspired, write about that. Just write it all out. And sometimes you don't, write a masterpiece at one sitting. Sometimes you have to come back. So it's a combination of inspiration, like when you're inspired right there on the spot, spontaneously, and then there's a mixture of, okay, let's go back to that song. Is there anything else that I could write more about? All right, let's go back to this poem. Are there any other feelings, any other thoughts, or anything politically I just want to add into it? So it's just, I think it's discipline and inspiration all in the same time.
I think people, I'm not going to speak for all people my age, but I think one of the challenges that people my age have with rap and listening to it as a creative art is that they don't get past the music part. They don't get past the vocal part. And so I try to encourage people, why don't you read the words to the song first? And then if that speaks to you, then listen to it. Because I think that creates sometimes a disconnect.
Yep.
They're used to melodies, and there are melodies in rap. It's a different kind of melody, but they're used to that melody, and the song starts. There's a chorus, there's a bridge, and then the song's over, and it's all tied up neatly into a bow. And a lot of times with rap music, because the music is so intense, that's how I would describe it, me personally, that it sometimes my age group doesn't stop and listen to the actual words and what the artist is trying to say. Have you seen that when you've performed? You have a lot of people, ancient Titanic survivors like me, that have that come up and go, you know what, I really love that, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. Just like you said, there may be some older generation, or not even older generation. There's some people who just want to hear a nice EDM track with 5 words or so they can hear it, they can sing along to like a nice melody. I even think like Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac. I think sometimes her lyrics are so potent that I have to rewind it back. Sometimes she sings so good that you're not even paying attention to the lyrics, and she's dropping some deep, deep, deep emotions.
Absolutely.
And that's the main reason why I recently did that project that you saw in the museum. Is basically I took rhymes that I've done, whole songs, sometimes whole entire verses, or sometimes poems that would have normally had beats to them, and to cut out all of the disconnect. It was basically an exhibition. It was an art exhibit for those who, that's what the title is hip hop really art? And for those who just think, it's a bunch of noise, it's just a bunch of boom, boom, bap, you break it down. And again, you have it written down, just like you said. Maybe sometimes you have it just straight a cappella. You slow it down. That's why we had subtitles there so people can read along. And sometimes if you slow it down, if you take away the music, if people just hear it in a conversational form, they'll get it.
I agree. I think that there have been times, like my kids are obviously, they're a little younger than you, not much, but a little younger than you. And so I think that they introduced it. I mean, I was around when the first rap song, Rapper's Delight, is the most popular one.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I knew every single word to that song, and I could probably pitch in a little bit. But it just was so different. The genre itself was so different. It was so unique. And once it became mainstream, it took a while from that song until we really became mainstream. And then most of top 100, top 40 really do. There's a lot of rap in there. But I think that when people hear it, they're listening to the music. They're not listening to the lyric, or they're listening to the beat. And so I love that you created that, because I think if people would just put the words up, because that's what the exhibit was about, right? You had the words up there. And so if you read the words, you go, wow, that is really deep. That's really emotional. And when you mentioned Stevie Nicks, one of the things I love about her, and that is a great example, is that her stuff doesn't always rhyme. So, people are used to rhyming, this verse ends with this, and then it all rhymes. And she would go a beat over, or she would put a word at the end, and it had nothing to do with the word that was at the end of the sentence before, or the phrase before. And so she created this where she's creating that emotion. And that, to me, is what rap is about. Very emotional, very passionate, very thoughtful and thought-provoking. You just have to read it. I think you have to look at the words first and then understand. You may not understand the perception, but you can respect the feeling. There's so much feeling involved in rap, I think.
Yeah, so she's straight gangster. I love it. I love her. And sometimes it's not even, people would rather just read it in a written form. Maybe some people want to hear it a cappella. But the next thing that I've noticed is that sometimes if you do a rap album, I've seen rappers do it before, hip hop artists, you do a rap album and you take that same album, don't change anything, and then you put a live band on it. There's some people whose ears are so much peaked. Or sometimes if you just see it at a carnival, a live band and instrumentation, sometimes people open their ear gates to actually take in those lyrics, and they see the beauty now when they hear the horns, or if they hear the guitar, then they hear it. Or if they see it in a book form, now they're open for, maybe it's just what they respect. That's why we put
the receiving. It's how you're used to receiving. So if you are used to mellower music, or what I would consider now adult contemporary, or whatever the name of it is right now, easy listening. If you're used to that, and you hear my son likes that music that you're talking about. He likes tradition. He's 20, almost 22. He likes traditional rap, but he also likes it where they have brought in a vocalist or a big band involved, and it's that mix. And I can see where people would listen to that and never in a million years know that that was originally a rap recording or a rap artist that put that out. So do you have a favorite? I know it's like picking your favorite child, but do you have a favorite go-to that you? I didn't ask you this, so don't feel on the spot, but we should have talked about you giving us a little bit of an example of what you do, but you don't have to. I'm really not putting you on the spot, but I'm thinking out loud. This is the problem with live TV, guys. Okay. But do you have like a favorite that you go to when you're that you go back to and go, wow, that really still resonates with me?
I'd say all of them. I'd say for the most part, the art imitating life, the real passion flow, maybe that's something that's just so deep in one of my principles, and being a creative is I just don't want to write anything that doesn't really mean anything to me. Like, so when I go back, I'm like, no, that was my life poured out, everything. I kind of don't want to pick and choose, but I mean, there's some ones that, depending on the mood. If I'm in a lovey-dovey mood, or so, something I wrote about my mom, or something I wrote about my wife, or something like that. If I was in a hype mood, it's maybe something different. I don't know.
So where can people find you and your music and your poetry?
Okay. You got realpassionflow.com. You have everything on social media, Real Passion Flow or Justincredible. And so you got Instagram, Real Passion Flow, Twitter, Real Passion Flow, Facebook, Justincredible, or Real Passion Flow.
I've got the Facebook one streaming, guys, across the bottom. So
nice.
That one I found. I'm sure I could find the others. But as you know, we had a little bit of a Zoom issue today. So I like this platform better, though. It looks better. It looks prettier. Cool. All right. You're a joy, man. I appreciate you. I want people to reach out to you. I would love to host, if we don't open up soon, or even if we do, maybe host a live poetry event, and have several of you come on and just really entertain and educate people. I think that would be really awesome.
Nice. I think it's a dope idea. I appreciate it, Ted.
Absolutely. All right. You're a joy, my friend. Justin Lang, or as he prefers to be known, Justincredible. Go to facebook.com, Real Passion Flow, and you can hit him up, Real Passion Flow or Justincredible on everything else. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. All right, guys, we'll be back soon. Thanks for tuning in.